Let's get discussing scales a little bit deeper. We are now going to extrapolate into a full major scale. Again, we're going to start on C, but remember you can start your scales anywhere if you follow the tone-semitone formulas that I've been giving you along the way. So if we start on this Do, in this case C, and we move up a tone, a semitone, and then 3 tones, tone, 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 semitone, we end up getting a full major scale. Now remember, semitones are closest together, no notes in between, whereas a tone has 1 note in between. They are essentially the 2 smallest Lego pieces that help us build the most detailed castle once they're all pieced together properly. In other words, small musical intervals later create beautiful melodies. So, we have our Do up a tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, which now offers some new solfege syllables. In the past, we've had Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So. Now we're adding La, the major 6th, Ti, the major 7th, and our high Do. Speaking of that high Do, now our ear tests and reverse ear tests and singbacks can start on a low Do, Mi, So, or high Do. Again, this high Do is added because it is one of our tonal pillars. It is one of the notes within our, in this case, major chord. So think of those notes as magnets and everything else wants to move to the magnets. I'll give you an example. The 7th note is called the leading tone when you're studying it through a classical sort of tradition, and it leads our ear up to Do. If you don't believe me, check it out. Do you hear that tension? It's sitting right beside this little magnet. It's a little piece of metal just sitting beside a magnet, vibrating, wanting to move over, and it finally moves over to that magnet. So that's the way I picture it. I like to use analogies as I'm explaining certain concepts within music that can be a little more abstract, but think of your tonal pillars as points of attraction for the other notes. Before, I've mentioned that Mi is the solfege syllable that ultimately determines our tonality. Because our chord is built off of Do, Mi, and So if it's major, or it's built off of Do, Me, and So if it's minor, it's very clear that that middle note, Mi or Me, is going to help us determine if the sound is major or minor. So going back into our scale, we could say the same thing. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So. That Mi is very important when hearing if a scale sounds major or minor. But the second most important note in my eyes, in my ears, would be La, which we've now introduced. So just listen to, if I play a Do to a So, and then a La, and I'm just going to alternate back and forth through these notes, listen to the sound. It kind of sounds like old hokey-pokey country western on a ranch sort of sound. If I was to take that La and flatten it to Lay, which we will be discussing even more in the next course, listen to the sound now. Especially when La or Lay is in relation to So, there's something about that sound of the 6th that really helps us determine if the sound is major or minor. So where Mi or Me is the core foundation of if a scale is going to sound major or minor, La or Lay either confirms this or challenges it. So if I have Mi and then I've confirmed the scale with a La, it's going to sound quite major. But if I have a scale that has Mi and it's a special scale, let's say, that uses Lay as the 6th note, well, now I've challenged that major sound. Sounded major up until that Lay. Right? The La confirms it, the Lay sort of challenges it. Let's try it with minor. Here's minor with a Lay. So on the way up we had Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So. Sounds quite minor. Lay, So. It's confirmed. But what if I go with a La up top? Sounds minor, but it's a bit uplifting up top. So some of these combinations we will be exploring in other courses, like the last thing I showed you, A may with a la, for example, would be the Dorian mode, and we will be covering this stuff in the future. But I wanted to go in with some detail about how mi or may is fundamentally what makes a scale sound major or minor for the sake of these courses, and la or lay is going to either confirm or challenge that tonality. For the sake of these courses, we will be confirming may will be with lay, mi will be with la, but just something to start to think about now when you're trying to hear the major or minor within something. Focus on that third scale degree, mi or may, and the sixth scale degree, la or lay. So there it is in quite a bit of detail, the major scale, which we will be dissecting and permutating and augmenting and doing everything that we can to get the most out of how this scale sounds so we can better understand it. So there it is, a lot of info on your full major scale. I'll see you in the next class.